Hey everybody, peace and harmony with you here today. We're focusing in on a viewer question that we got in, and that is related to a covert spouse and the fact that he seems to put so much emphasis on status, kind of the outward show of things versus kind of being there for her, having communication, having discussion, and why would an individual do this, especially to someone close in their life like a spouse. So we want to talk right now about the emphasis of a narcissist personality disorder on the emphasis on status versus merit. It's like when it's like style versus content. When style overrides content, we have an experience of being superficial, of being empty, of being vapid, as being meaningless. So when you experience almost that there's been this almost meaningless a meaninglessness to the relationship, or a void, or where it's out of kilter, out of balance, because so much emphasis is put on the superficiality. There's a lot of bantering going back and forth. You feel like they're not really open about certain things. They tend to put an emphasis on themselves and really kind of their own selfish needs in a malignant or distorted way. This can be attributed to the narcissist personality disorder, the quality of really kind of emphasizing the status, the outward show, the selfish needs, which really protect the inner self. And it's something to acknowledge and furthermore strive so that you're not just hurt by this sort of contemptuous behavior. And it is contemptuous because the narcissist, as well as the psychopathic individual who lacks empathy, they don't really kind of have a value of others' feelings. They have more of a cognitive value of others' feelings. In other words, they can give a gratuitous hello, a gratuitous hug, and sometimes gifts and things of this nature to pacify these sort of outward views, or outward as appearing kind of as a status, but not really as a merit. In other words, has this person really been thinking these things? Have they been put a lot of thought into it? Or, is it just kind of like, a gratuitous gift? For example, the psychopath, they're not, they're not very sentimental. I mean, they can have a lot of objects perhaps that reflect more status versus, something that they find they really appreciate. And so oftentimes we see this kind of concrete thinking with the covert narcissist as well as the psychopath, where they look at kind of the object of things, but they don't really have an abstract thought as it relates to it. And particularly that in the psychopath. They might see a beautiful sculpture or work of art, and they just kind of see it more superficially. They don't get the abstract values that it stands for. For example, the Statue of Liberty. They might see that, in New York, and it's, abstractly, it's meant as a symbol of freedom. It's carrying the torch of freedom, the light of freedom. And, it's very statuesque, and there's a lot of abstract values that, speaks to people. The narcissist or the psychopath might look at it in a very sort of objective manner, not really get the really qualities that it's really about. They might just say, oh, that's a big statue. They don't really get the feeling of it. And I've heard other psychopathic individuals say the same thing with music. They don't really they get just kind of an overall feel of it. They don't get the abstract feel. They don't get the abstract words. The words maybe don't really make a lot of sense to them. They don't have this depth to kind of expand on philosophical concepts of helping the poor, helping the meek, lifting people up. Oftentimes you find that you can't have these sort of discussions with them because they don't have the emotional wiring to be able to go there. You try to talk about your needs, and it's just like it's met with a brick wall. They just don't have the emotional empathy. They don't have the vocabulary. They don't have the experience. They don't have the need. So oftentimes they're very insultory with like, why do you need this? Or, what's very, very sad oftentimes is when a psychopath then, or a malignant narcissist suppresses other people in their life for having their needs and don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. You know, when it's like your natural affection or your natural communication style or your, you know, public display of affection, get your hand off of me, you know, I'm not kissing you, or, you know, whatever they might do or say, you know, they almost make you feel just so ashamed for like trying to have a marriage or trying to connect with them. They just don't have the empathy. They just don't have that they have a different emotional connection with things in life than quote unquote common, normal, healthy, everyday people. They don't have a certain value assigned to certain things. They don't have that sort of appreciation. Like, for example, you know, someone might see a great work of art, like a great Monet piece, and just, you know, reflect on, wow, that's such an amazing use of paint and light, and his palette is magnificent, and how long it must have taken, and, you know, really reflect on these things, whereas the psychopath just kind of looks at like, oh, that's worth such and such, or the covert narcissist, you know, they look at they look at things in a different way. They tend to pull it apart, and they're really kind of missing that whole big picture and appreciation and what we call the heart center of things. So, you know, kind of in the healing, you need to come back to that heart center and just be like, whoa, I've just, you know, been assimilated with, you know, I've been around an individual who basically has trying to carve out my heart in life and made me, you know, just damaged my heart a little bit, and oftentimes my mind, and, you know, it can really throw people off and really be very distressful and cause people not to trust themselves. They feel like they can't make good decisions anymore. All the decisions they're making kind of like are reactive to this individual and meant to try to satisfy these, you know, sort of very concrete, very perfectionist sort of ways about the how they think. So they find that it's not a good fit, you know, with trying to be in a relationship with a malignant narcissist or a psychopath, because their thought patterns and the way they connect to things just don't have a certain richness of value or an appreciation in sort of those abstract and big pictures things that really a lot of people do connect to and find so important in life and in relationships. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.